Hello and welcome to Standard Sports Ashes coverage. We're here to review the first day of the fifth test. I'm joined by Will McPherson, who's in Hobart for the first ever Ashes test in Hobart. It's a day-night game, but we didn't get a great deal of the night part of that today, which we'll come on to. But it's a day that England started brilliantly. Will had Australia 12 for 3 and then rather let things get away from them by the close of play.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. It was a stunning morning session, actually. Well, first session, so I shouldn't say morning because it happened in the middle of the afternoon, but it's a stunning first session in which England reduced Australia to 12 for 3. We've got Steve Smith and David Warner both for ducks, dropped Marnus Labuschagne on naught, and then Labuschagne and Travis Head launched a very effective counter-attack, scoring really quickly. England's opening bowlers, Ollie Robinson and Stuart were excellent. But their change bowlers, Chris Woakes and Mark Wood, struggled. They weren't as consistent, and Australia were intent on scoring off anything that they could. So they scored quickly. They rebuilt, but then just before lunch, on the stroke of lunch, Marnus Labuschagne fell in quite spectacular fashion, really. He kind of stepped across his stumps, was bowled behind his legs, and then in the process of being bowled, managed to fall over. So he was on his knees, and remarkable, really. But that you felt at lunch, I think it was 85 for 4 at lunch, that England were on top again. That they wrestled back momentum. That didn't last. In the afternoon session, Australia only lost 1 wicket, and then in the short evening session, they only lost 1 more. So it's 6 down at stumps, 241 for 6. Fortunately for England, the two men who were dismissed after lunch were Travis Head, who made a wonderful century, and Cameron Green, who, to be honest, looked like he was on his way to his first Ashes 100, first Test 100. But he fell into England's quite obvious trap of bowling bouncers, and he pulled straight to the man at deep square leg, which was a surprise. But yeah, Australia on top. I think 2 for 1 for 6 might sound relatively modest, but I think that's a big score on a very green pitch in helpful bowling conditions. I think they've already, they're right on top right now.
Batting at 5 for Australia looks pretty fun, to be honest. I mean, Head got his century there early in the series. Khawaja comes in, gets a couple there. He has to go up the order. Obviously, much harder work up there as he found today, but Head straight back in. He would have had to watch that last test and watch Khawaja get those twin tons, but he's come back in and played brilliantly again.
Yeah, Head's quite a competitor for man of the series. He's scoring his runs at a rate of about 90 per 100 balls. I mean, today he just quietly peeled off a 112 ball century, which is, it's rapid. But it was his century at the start of the series in Brisbane was only 85 balls, so this one felt quite sluggish. They look a really strong batting lineup suddenly, Australia, when Cameron Green's found a bit of form. Head has proved himself to be a player of real substance in this series, I think. And when you put Khawaja at the top of the order in place of Harris, well, they look good. Australia things have come together beautifully for Australia this summer. Head and versus Khawaja was the kind of marginal call at the start of the summer. Who should bat number 5? They went with Head. He scored 100. Unfortunately, Head then got COVID. Khawaja comes in, peels off 2 of them, and now it's back to 2-2 as Head made a lovely 100 today.
Speaking of things that have come together nicely across the summer, the big plus for England from the home summer was Ollie Robinson's emergence, and he's had a good tour down under when he's played, but he pulled up injured today, and some more chat again after the close of play about his fitness and his suitability for these kind of congested series at test level intensity.
Yeah, it's been bubbling away sort of all tour that Robinson hasn't looked quite fit enough, and I don't mean fit to play, but I mean fit in a kind of athletic sense. And he has picked up an injury today. He had a shoulder injury that kept out in Sydney. And it might, his general physical fitness might not make any difference to whether those injuries come along or not. They might just be totally unrelated, but it would help. He is playing top level sport. James Anderson, Stuart Broad, there's never any questions about them on this front. And actually, England is still hopeful that he might bowl again. They're calling it a back spasm, lower back spasm. But back injuries don't tend to just come and go, to be honest. But hopefully he might bowl again tomorrow. I wouldn't think he will. He looked very uncomfortable today. But this couldn't have come in a worse game for England, because Ben Stokes isn't able to bowl, which has left them with a 4-man bowling attack. And so to lose one of them on day one, well, there's not many places to turn. Joe Root's already bowled 10 overs. And there's going to be a lot of workload for Broad, Wood and Wokes, 2 of whom bowled pretty poorly today. So it's going to be hard work. They might be able to get Australia all out in the first innings for a reasonable total, but you'd think without Robinson, the second innings would be really hard work.
Well, as you say, 4 more wickets to take tomorrow afternoon, as it will be placed starting half an hour earlier because of that early end today for some pretty light rain. But we'll be back to chat about the second day's play tomorrow. And we'll speak then.